this coming Mayim and the Mayim Tavshin is a landmark. There's to the Torah Mayim. There's a whole sikha that's actually published in yeah, no, not only Chelek, but it's also published in Hechel Menachem's Biurim on Hechel Menachem's Biurim on the Torah Maimer. There's a whole section of the Rebbe's Verbrengen of that Shabbos.
Right, they're telling us in the start that this Maimer is reconstructed from the Sikha, from the Kuti Sikhas Chelek. They made the Maimer from it. Al Pi L'Kutei Sichos.
Not only this Maimer, next couple of there's a couple of more Maimarim in Chafei over here. This with the same.
Yeah. Well, what happened was that the Rebbe was Magia the Fabrengen. When I was in Australia, he was talking about this. If you look at the back of Chelek, it's very, very long. Fabrengens, the Rebbe's Magi edited. So everybody was kochen zachinat, learning the Fabrengen in the course of the week. So some Chacham Atik wrote to the Rebbe that the Bochem are not learning Gemara with the attention that it needs because they're busy with the Fabrengen the whole week. And you know what happened? He stopped editing it. It's happened many times. You open your mouth, and say, okay, it's off the table. The Rebbe takes it as, I don't know, very seriously. It's a sign from heaven. He tells in Australia, he was a bacher in 770. He wouldn't say who the person was. He says he meant well, and he wasn't part of the faculty even. It wasn't like the Anhola, the Rosh Yeshiva. Some Elter Chassid. What?
Mind your own business.
It's pretty shocking for us, looking at this, the so-called, the big city that we are, the Deir Hashvi. But that's how it was, And this fellow is probably older than the Rebbe from the previous generation. He meant well for the Bachim, for the Rebbe, for everyone. Like he didn't want that on the Rebbe's expense. The Bachim are not devoting themselves to the studies. Whatever his cheshbon was, but that was the end of it. Tells and adds he doesn't know how long. Nobody could know how long this would continue anyway. Maybe it was going to be on whatever. But that's Chafei. The Rebbe started the Rashi Sichos. He started Ifabrenga every Shabbos in honor of his mother. That's when it began.
And he started pushing also. That's when they reprinted L'Kutei Torah, and the Rebbe was pushing to be Maber the Chassidish Sedra starting to Chafei.
Yeah, and to Daven Bavoid, it was a heavy year. Heavy year. We're going to see in this Mayim, I looked at it a little bit. Okay, I have one of the footnotes. Let's begin. And it's also, it addresses the businessmen, friends. Mayim Rabim lo yuchlu lechabes es ha'ava. So great waters cannot extinguish the love, and the horish leishtafu, and rivers cannot wash it away. Mavayir ben Azokim b'Torah, the Parsha say no. The Alter Rebbe explains in Torah now Parsha. The Rebbe adds in brackets the Chassidische Sedra. The Chassidische Sedra is Torah and L'Kutei Torah. Shemayim Rabim, what are the swirling waters? Him called Tiris Apanosa, the travails of livelihood. The Machshavas and the thoughts, that's the rivers, that the river doesn't stop flowing. The endless, incessant thoughts, preoccupation, distractions, Shebinyon Ilam Haza in worldly matters related to Panos. Notwithstanding that the pasuk says, "Vim kol zeh la yuchlo lechabes es ava," cannot extinguish the love of the neshama. What love are we speaking about? Shehu b'chinas ha'ava mositeres. We're talking about the natural, hidden love. The Alter Rebbe speaks about in Tanya, not the not the love generated by intellectual meditation and so on, but the natural one that everybody's born with. Sheyesh b'chol nefesh misal b'teva, that every Yid has by nature, by birth. And then he adds, I don't know if this is in the mind of the Alter Rebbe. There's a natural love that the Eibishter has for Yidden that's ever present. It's this love that Mayim, Rabim, now that the above swirling waters cannot extinguish it. From being in a constant state of love and longing. Yadrab, on the contrary, through a Yid being thrust into these waters, this actually adds to his avodah. Not only does he retain the status quo of his natural love, but he attains a height. That's why, on the one hand, these were destructive waters externally, but they're called by the Navi, Yeshaya, Mei Noach, tranquil waters. Noach beloshen Naicha Derucha, Noach from the expression of Naicha Derucha, satisfaction to the soul. These very waters. Because it's through the Yid being in this matzav that brings him to a Tosfos Ilui. As is in the well-known illustration, explained elsewhere, when you have running water, flowing water, if you block it, that stops the water flow, and Isof kol sof, the end, when the water builds up and piles up, and what's going to happen in the end ultimately is, not only will the water burst the blockage, on the contrary, the very blockage causes a great rush, a great thrust, a great intensity to the water has been generated dafka by the blockage. Moreover, that which blocked, whatever it is that stood in the way of the water, the very blockage itself flows Mayim, with the water, adding intensity. Adding it itself, the blockage adds intensity to the very flowing of the water. The piece of wood, whatever it is the dam, it itself creates a very intense a force. Is added to the water by the very object that obstructed it.
That's what's powering your electricity right now.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
That phenomenon.
That's right. Yeah. So likewise, the ruch needs the concealment and obstruction. But the koi, which refers to nefesh habahamis b'chlal, to begin with the nefesh habahamis, and then v'tidus hapanosa b'frat, and then he has to deal with the panosa and its preoccupation. Preoccupation can be good, but tirda means a negative. Tirda, it's a just one good word for tirda. It's
It's a burden, maybe.
Burden, yeah. A masa is a burden, but
we learned the Maimar Kanesha Yoyer, and the Rebbe writes this year, and the Rebbe writes over here, what is the problem? That you're worried, but pen yachser lachmai. You're worried, where's my bread going to come from? It's not as much as the challenges of business, but the main challenge, where am I going to get my bread?
Right. I'm just looking for the translation of the word tirda. Tirda, it's a combination of a burden, a distraction, Although the word Torah that actually could mean something good. We find Torah b'malachta. It can be it's a neutral word, but here we mean it in the context just described, right? Shedavke al yodom, but it's only through nefesh habahamis and the preoccupation that the neshama comes in madreges ha'avat b'chol ma'oitcha chol levavcha v'chol nafshecha is possible without the test of panasa through meditation.
It's really sticky.
But b'chol ma'oitcha, which is the boundless love, that's only possible and only comes to the fore dafke through the Mayim Rabim. Let's go further. How so? How does this work? So how take? What's the path? In brackets, not only should the water not extinguish the love. El Adarab, on the contrary, it only arouses within him a great intense love for Hashem. How does this work? Friends, there ain't no shortcuts. He bought El Ateva when the Yid immerses himself, enters the ark. There's the Baal Shem Tov taught, Hainu Lova V'Likonis B'Tevis Atfila, to enter into the woods of davening. So it goes without saying that before davening, he invites the Tirdas Epanosa into his life. He hasn't even started his work day yet, but he's going to make sure we get an early start. And even before he starts davening, he's already inviting it. In other words, not only, he can't help his thinking, but then he's going to start doing things, man. This is al derech, what we say in the al-chet shechatonu b'yetzer hara. It's a famous question. We list a whole lot of sins, and the sin, aren't all sins the yetzer hara? What's al-chet shechatonu l'fanecha b'yetzer hara? Because there are sometimes even the yetzer hara is not. I'll start with you later. Daven, then we'll deal with you. No, he's a chacham, and he invites the yetzer hara even before it's even ready to do its thing. So the answer is boyel ateva. We have to enter into the words. The words means the words of davening, the words of chassidus before. Haino lova v'likone is not just to say them, but to get into, to enter b'tevis atfila, the words of davening. Given shetfila pa'elis in your. That's where love is born. It's born in the words of davening. That's where gratitude is expressed, and love and appreciation, and so on. Like the Rebbe Rashab writes at length in Kuntres HaAvodah, Sheikar Avodah in Ava, the main Avodah is a relationship, is love. As the Guzaya says, there's pulchana ke pulchana derech musa. There's no Avodah like the Avodah of love. Behind in brackets, the Rebbe adds, Shin ha'yireh, fear, which is of course also integral to Avodas Hashem, respect, or Kabbalah's oil. So that's true, that's a necessary component, but that's not what davening is. Kabbalah's oil is not connected dafka to davening. All respect needs and could be all day Kabbalah's oil. But davening with the heart is a little bit inflamed, a little bit, and is moved, and there's a real expression, a real thank you, and a real appreciation, and gratitude, and realizing no entitlement. So where's the place for that? That's in the words of davening. But davening is not yira, but thank you, but love. To arouse the yin of Av. Let's continue. These are famous, right? I think you've all learned this. We've all learned it. The Rebbe continues in Torah, it's very famous, V'zeh tos abali asokim, and this is a mistake that business people make. Shebedaitom, that they think, she'ein yechel mispalo kol kach, they're not shaykh to daven, like Yeshve Oilim, those whose whole world is the tents of Torah and Tefillah. They can't. Not for me. He says that's not true. It's a mistake. Says down to that. Ki adarab, on the contrary, the erste bal eise can appreciate the union of davening and achieve what davening needs to achieve. As he goes on to say, talking about Shabbos and even the weekday. Ki adarab napichu, says the Alter, it's the opposite. Sheheim yechel nispalol yoser. His davening is more intense. Adraba, coming from the world where he comes, and he enters into the words of Torah and Tefillah. That's a whole different degree of appreciation, of intensity. The light that he generates is greater because it comes from darkness. We just read this in Tanya. Shabbos is Yomim Tovim. When it comes to Shabbos and Yom Tov, then Shagam Bali Asokim Yeshlem Pnai. Even the business person has more time. He's not running. In Aleim Mutling and Avidus HaTefillah, upon them is placed the Avodah of Tefillah, the responsibility, the obligation, so even more so than A, during the week, and B, the Yoshev Oil, the one whose world is Torah and Tefillah. Because now he can, so now he must. But it doesn't start Shabbos and Yom Tov. In order you should daven like a Yid on Shabbos and Yom Tov. There has to be some element of it during the week, limited, but still something. Only one of the toils on Erev Shabbos can eat, will have food to eat on Shabbos. That's true, but Gashmis and Beruchnius. The Shabbos Kibshuda, just like physical food, no food on the table unless you work during the week. Shabbos also, the davening of Shabbos. We learned about this. Tefillah is the Shabbos, V'sudah Shabbos, Shayochim Zelazeh. The davening of Shabbos and the Sudas of Shabbos are connected. It's about Tainug. It's about Tainug and about gratitude and about Simcha. As it says in Chassidus, Shatfil is the Shabbos, the davening of Shabbos. Ubedugmas brachas halasu. That's like the bracha over the meal. As I just said, the union of Tainug. Also the Shabbos Oinig. That's in the Sudas, and that's in the davening. And the Suda is a whole different Suda when it follows the davening. So at any rate, he's saying, no Suda if you didn't work during the week. And therefore, even the weekday, even by the businessman has to be avodas hatefillah. During the week, Kivin Sheinam Panai doesn't have so much time. It's not going to spend so much time, relatively speaking. So what is it then? His focus, his concentration, which obviously means he has to remove all distractions. A little bit bekavana, his Rebbe doesn't finish the statement, is better than a whole lot of lip service. And then he adds in brackets, V'yashloimer, ashektzas arichos gam bisman. The Rebbe doesn't let us go. A little bit of arichos even on the clock. A little bit. Tzarechli is gam b'me'achol, even the weekday. So, Varak la yedul fnei hateva. So such a person shouldn't be the Baal Tefillah, because he's going to be slower than the Baal Tefillah, than the Shliach Tzibur, as the Alter writes in Tanya. They're the opposite. The Bali Tefillah. The Alter Rebbe is saying the Bali Tefillah are going to daven longer. No, they say what they're saying in Tanya, sorry. Even with the arichas, it shouldn't be the ones davening for the Omid. He's saying the same thing as Tanya, because whatever length they're going to give is not going to be that much. So much like the Rebbe says that the ones who daven for the Omid will discharge those who can't, as is the whole reason for the Shliach Tzibur in the first place. Because there are those that can daven longer, malamdim teachers, or those that are in koilel, being supported by their father, the stable father-in-law. They should daven for the Omid, but still that's in brackets. But a little bit of arichos, the one who davens for the Omid should daven leisurely and slowly, who has the time. But the balesik, even a little bit of arichos has to happen. Friends, I go to that saying, it's you start with davening with a minyan.